So today we are going to integrate sine of x times e to the minus 2 times x from 0 to pi with respect to x. And we are going to do this by what I would call indirect integration, because we're going to apply integration by parts twice, and then we're going to find this integral that we try to solve. We will find it again later, and then we will have an expression for that integral without solving it directly. So integration by parts, so we need one function to derive and one function to anti-derive, and we chose sine of x to derive and e to the minus 2 times x to anti-derive. So the antiderivative of e to the minus 2 times x is just minus 1/2 times e to minus 2 times x times sine of x from 0 to pi plus 1/2 times the integral from 0 to pi over cosine of x times e to the minus 2 times x. So we know that sine of pi is 0 and sine of 0 is also 0, so this whole term is just 0. And now we have an integral here again, which again has a product as an integrand. So we are going to apply now the second time integration by parts, and again we are going to anti-derive e to the minus 2 times x. So what we end up with is 1/2 times minus 1/2 times cosine of x times e to the minus 2 times x from 0 to pi plus 1/2 times the integral from 0 to pi over minus sine of x times e to the minus 2 times x dx. So now we can already evaluate the first part, and that gives us 1/2 times cosine of pi is minus 1, so we get 1/2 times e to the minus 2 times pi minus, so cosine of 0 is 1, and e to the minus 2 times 0 is also 1, so we get plus 1/2. And now plus 1/2 times the integral from 0 to pi over, we could actually write minus 1/2 times the integral from 0 to pi over sine of x times e to the minus 2 times x dx. So now we simplify the term by just resolving the parentheses, and what we get is 1/4 times e to the minus 2 times pi plus 1/4 minus 1/4 times the integral from 0 to pi over sine of x times e to the 2 times x dx. So, and what we see now, this right here, this is just the integral that we wanted to solve, right? So now we didn't solve it, but what we can do now, we can call that, let's call it I. And what we have now is the following equation. We have I equals 1/4 times e to the minus 2 times pi plus 1 minus 1/4 times I. So we can just add on both sides 1/4 times I, and thus receives 5 over 4 times I equals 1 over 4 times 1 plus e to the minus 2 times pi, and by that we receive that I equals 1 over 5 times 1 plus e to the minus 2 times pi. So that's it. We solved the integral with indirect integration, and we reformed and thus found the result.